You are tired, but not the kind of tired that sleep can fix. It's the kind where your phone lights up and you already know it's somebody asking for something. And before you even read the message, you've already said yes. You don't say it out loud, but you say it in your mind. Because saying no to you, it feels wrong. So you show up again, you give your time again, you stretch yourself again. And later that night, you sit there wondering why it feels like nobody shows up for you. You don't have a problem with people, but you have a problem with saying no. And one of the most dangerous things you can ever do to yourself, worse than an addiction or any fear, is being a nice guy. Welcome to the Train of Thought podcast. And today, let's talk about the dangers of being a nice person. And I'll tell you another thing that is dangerous is you watching this video and not liking, commenting, or subscribing, because that means that you may come back again and you may not find me because you're not subscribed. So this is me asking you to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video until we grow this platform into the biggest community. Let's keep it going. There's a lie we've all been sold, that being nice is a virtue, that if you are kind, generous, accommodating, life will reward you, that people will respect you and opportunities will come to you, or even love will find you. But look closer. The nicest person in the room is rarely the most respected. The most available person is rarely the most valued, and the one who gives the most is often left with the least. So what is going on? Why do people who bend over backwards end up getting walked over? Why do people who say yes to everything end up being invisible? And why does being a good person sometimes, most times, feel like a punishment? This video is not an attack on kindness. It's an exposure of something else, because there's a difference between being kind and being nice. And that difference will either build your life or quietly destroy it. We all know that one person at work. They're reliable. They're the one that everybody goes to. Can you help me with this? Can you stay a little longer? Can you just quickly fix this? And they almost always say yes. At first, they will be appreciated. Then they become expected. Then they become invisible. Because once something becomes predictable, it stops being valued. Or think about that friend, the one that always shows up for you. Birthdays, crises, late night calls. They are always there. But when it's their turn, other people are busy. Other people are unavailable or suddenly silent. And the painful part is they don't even complain because they are nice people. So the question is kindness the problem, or is there something dangerous hiding underneath it? To understand why we conflate niceness and kindness, it's good to understand what they actually fundamentally are on a deeper level. And there are three truths that I want to bring to light to make that clear. Truth number one, niceness is often fear in disguise. Most people are not nice, but they are afraid of rejection, afraid of conflict, afraid of being disliked. So they say yes to avoid discomfort. They smile to avoid tension. They agree to avoid standing alone. But here's the truth. Such people are not being nice. They're negotiating for acceptance. And the moment your identity is tied to being liked, you lose the ability to be respected. And that's why such people are usually accepted by everyone, but not respected, or sometimes not even liked. The second truth, people don't always value or respect what is available. Believe it or not, one of the oldest fundamentals of human societies is scarcity. Scarcity creates value. We understand this with money, time, opportunities, but we forget it when it comes to us. If someone can access you anytime for anything without resistance, you stop being valuable. You become convenient. The person who says yes to everything teaches people that their time has no cost. The person who's always available teaches people that they have no boundaries. And people don't consciously decide to disrespect you. They just simply follow the rules that you put in motion, the rules that you set. The third truth is being nice will create silent contracts. This is the most dangerous one because it's invisible. When you do things for people, you think, oh, they're going to remember this. Oh, they're going to appreciate this. Oh, they're going to show up for me as well. But you never say it and you never express it. So in your mind, there's a contract that you've written with them. But in their mind, there is no contract. And that is where the resentment that you feel is born, because you feel betrayed by expectations that you never communicated. And I get a lot of religious people that argue that niceness is a religious virtue, that having boundaries or not allowing people to walk over you is somehow not biblical or Quranic, that turning the other cheek is what you're supposed to do. But we forget, even Jesus had boundaries. Jesus did not heal everyone, nor did he stay where he was always needed every time. In Luke chapter 5, verse 16, it says, Jesus would often withdraw to lonely places and pray. The insight on this is withdrawal is not selfish, it is necessary. Jesus also famously flipped the tables in the temple when his boundaries were crossed. Jesus was never embarrassed or ashamed to speak out at any given point in time over things that crossed his boundaries. He was never a nice guy. And for the Muslims, you have good examples for that as well. When the Quraysh came to the Prophet Muhammad to speak to him about sort of figuring out a negotiation between their faith and his, he realized that this was a boundary that they were crossing. He explicitly refused, and he said these words, Lakum dinukum waliyadin. Stick to your religion and I will stick to mine. He was not willing to play stupid games with these people. The Quran itself emphasizes balance, and it very much forbids excessive softness. All you who believe, stand firmly for justice, even if it is against yourselves. Quran chapter 4, verse 135. The insight to this is you are not called to be agreeable. You are called to be just, even when it costs you approval of others. So there's enough evidence in both Islam and Christianity to show that niceness is not an acceptable or a good concept or even a good virtue to live by. And a lot of the trap that people fall into is that their pastors and their preachers and their sheikhs and their imams, they hide behind these holy books to lie to these people so they can make them submissive to them, either to take their money or to indoctrinate them or to abuse them and everything in between. There is nowhere in the scriptures, in any scripture, that tells you to be a nice guy. So you're probably asking, should we all become cold, selfish, say no to everything? Isn't kindness what makes relationships work? Isn't being considerate a good thing? The answer is yes to all of that, but you're confusing two different things. Kindness is strength. Niceness is fear. Kindness is intentional. Niceness is automatic. Kindness chooses consciously when to give. Niceness cannot stop giving. Kindness has boundaries and niceness has none. And anything without boundaries will always eventually get abused by people. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The problem is not that you're nice. The problem is that you're predictable. People already know what you will say. They already know you won't push back. They already know that you will choose them over yourself every single time. And respect can never exist in a space where there is no uncertainty, where there is no possibility of loss. So what changes? You don't become rude. You become clear. You say no without explaining your entire life story. You give without expecting something in return. You choose instead of reacting. Because the moment you stop needing to be liked is the moment people will actually start respecting you. Eminem famously said, as soon as I stopped giving a fuck, they started to appreciate my art. And it is true. Before Eminem gave the world the middle finger, nobody cared who he was. But the moment he did, everybody did. So I have some questions from the community. The first one is, can you be both kind and respected? The answer is yes, but that is only if your kindness is selective. Not everyone deserves access to you, and not everyone deserves your energy. Kindness does not mean giving to everyone. Kindness means giving to the right people. And then another question is, how do I say no without feeling guilty? You have to replace apology with clarity. Don't say, I'm so sorry, I wish I could, maybe next time, and you give a million excuses. But say, I can't commit to that right now. As simple as that. No over-explaining, no performance, just give people the truth. I appreciate this a lot about Scandinavians. Norwegians, for example. It's either they can do something for you or they can't. They'll never give you reasons. They'll say, I cannot do that, I'm sorry, but maybe if you want something else someday, I will help you. And that is even them being kind. But the truth of the matter is that is actually valuable. That is important. You don't have to explain your yeses and nos to people. No is a complete sentence. And then another question is, why do I feel bad when I choose myself? That is because you trained people to expect you. So when you change, it feels like you're doing something wrong. And every single time you do something new, it's always going to feel wrong. But you're not wrong. You're just adjusting to a version of you that finally has boundaries. And that discomfort that you feel, that is the cost of growth. Now, I also have steps for you that you should follow to become a good person without being nice. Let's get into them. Number one, replace your automatic yes with intentional choice. Before you agree to anything, pause and ask yourself, do I actually want to do this? Do I have the capacity to do this? And is this aligned with my priorities? If the answer is no, then say no. Not harshly and not emotionally. Just say it clearly, no, I cannot do that for you. If you want to be very cute, you can say, I am sorry, I cannot do that for you. Don't explain yourself and don't allow them to make you explain yourself. Like I said earlier, no is a complete statement. In fact, I have a formula for this. I call it the 5-in-1, where for every 5 requests that someone gives you, you can only say yes once. Always have that in the back of your mind. Every 24 hours, every 5 requests that someone gives you, you only say yes once. The other 4 must all be no. This will train you to assess your decisions and to assess the things you say yes to a lot better and a lot clearer. And I promise you, it's going to change your life. Step number 2, learn to give without hidden expectations. If you choose to help, do it freely or don't do it at all. Because the moment you expect something in return, you have created a silent, unspoken contract. And those silent contracts will always lead to resentment because you will always feel betrayed. You will always feel like the other person did not do right by you. Even if, as far as they are concerned, there was no agreement, you did something nice. And then finally, you need to learn to build discomfort tolerance. And this is where the real work begins. For so many people, the reason they constantly be nice, the reason they can't stand on their feet is they hate the discomfort and the awkwardness and the weird energy that it causes to say no. But you must train yourself to getting used to people being disappointed in you, awkward silences, not being liked by everyone, because discomfort is the price of self-respect. That discomfort that people feel when you say no, that is you paying for the self-respect that you're going to get in return. At the start, it's a bit difficult. At the start, it's a bit complicated and weird and awkward, but you get into it. And once you do, you will actually enjoy it a lot more than the times when you are saying yes. Let's go back to that message, that notification, that moment where you already said yes in your mind. But this time, read the message, you breathe, and instead of reacting, you decide, I can't do that. Nothing is going to break. The world is not going to end and the relationship will not collapse. If that relationship collapses because of that, then you know it wasn't a real relationship to begin with. But something inside of you will shift because for the first time, you would have shown up for yourself. You were never exhausted from doing too much. You were exhausted from being too available. My name is Hertz Fauzan and I am your conductor on the Train of Thought. This episode is directed by Latifa and edited by Akura and Zaidan and produced by Wole Ogidon, with a special thanks to the entire Train of Thought team. From all of us to you, I'll see you in the next train.